Hi everyone. In this lesson I want to talk about an understanding of absolute value equations and inequalities. Now the key idea behind absolute value is to describe distance, and distance is always positive. We wouldn't say the distance from city A to city B was 30 miles and then the distance from city B to city A was negative 30 miles. We just say it's 30 miles either way because distance is always positive. And if you want to find the distance between any two numbers on the number line, you always subtract, right? So if I wanted to say find the distance between 17 and 92 on the number line, I would have to subtract those. I'd either take 92 minus 17, or I'd take 17 minus 92 and lop off the minus sign. Okay? So when I have this statement, the absolute value is 6 minus 2, this is actually in a geometric sense finding the distance between 6 and 2, right? Which is going to be equal to 4. All right, so when I look at the absolute value of negative 2 minus 2, that's finding the distance between negative 2 and positive 2. And because you're subtracting, what are you subtracting? Negative 2 and 2, and that distance is also 4. When I have this statement, the absolute value of x minus 2, in the same way, I'm finding the distance between the number x and the number 2. And when I write this statement, the absolute value of x minus 2 equals 4, this is a statement that tells me that the distance between x and 2 is exactly 4 units. So if I wanted to solve this equation, if I wanted to find the x that made this true, I want to think that about the number x that are going to be 4 units away from the number 2. All right, so here's the number 2, and you see if I go 4 units in this direction, I'm going to end up at 6, and if I go 4 units in this direction, I'm going to end up at number 2. So again, the two numbers that are 4 units from 2 on the number line are going to be negative 2 and 6. All right, so again, think about this. This is what this is saying. It's saying, this is almost a question, isn't it? Tell me the x values whose distance from 2 that are 4 units away. All right, so in the same way, if I said the absolute value of x minus 2 less than 4, this is a statement saying that the distance between x and 2 is less than 4 units away. So in other words, it's saying what x values, if you're solving this equation for x, you're looking for those x values whose distance from 2 is smaller than 4 units away. So if you come up here and you say which x's are less than 4 units away, well, you could be 4 units away to the left. That would put you at negative 2, and 4 units away to the right would put you at 6. But I want the x's that are less than 4 units away, so that's actually going to give me this interval of points between negative 2 and 6. And so graphically, the values that make that true, they lie in this interval between negative 2 and 6. Likewise, if I said the absolute value of x minus 2 is greater than 4, this is a statement saying the distance between x and 2 is more than 4 units away. And so you could think of it as a question, what are the x values whose distance from 2 is more than 4 units away? And you can see, I'll use a different color up here, but you can see that that would be these values over here. If you're going to go more than 4 units away from 2 to the left, you're going to have to go over here to the left of negative 2. And if you want to go more than 4 units away to the right, you're going to have to go over to the right of 6. And notice that gives you a split interval. So graphically, the values that make this inequality true, they again lie in the interval from minus infinity to minus 2, or the union, the interval from 6 to infinity. Okay? So we could typically, when you solve an absolute value inequality with a less than, you're going to get a single interval like we did here from minus 2 to 6. When you solve an absolute value inequality that has greater than, you're going to get a split interval. like we did right here, that I have in green. That'll have a union between them. And if you're solving an absolute value equation, you're just wanting to know the values of x where the distance is exactly 4. You just get these 2 points, right? -2 and 6, but notice that those are all related to one another. One last thing before we close. You can also think of this graphically in the Cartesian plane. If I were to let y1 be the absolute value of x minus 2, which on our calculators is sometimes use the ABS of x minus 2, and then let y2 be 4. Let me do that real quick here. So if you go to your y equals, okay, I go into the math menu, and over where it says numbers here, I arrow over number 1 is the ABS, so the absolute value of x minus 2, and then also graph 4. Okay, let me get my standard window here. And you'll see basically what I have copied here on my page. All right, so I can think of this graph, think of the solution to all of these equations and inequalities. The absolute value is the V-shaped graph, and notice the absolute value is going to equal the 4 right here at this point and right here at this point. Notice that this is x equals -2, makes the absolute value equal to 4. And over here, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over at 6, it's also equal to 4. And if I wanted to know where is the absolute value less than the 4, you could see that's the same as saying where's the V-shaped graph less than or below the horizontal line. And you can see it's less than right here. And that corresponds to this interval between -2 and 6. For any of these x's between -2 and 6, the V-shaped graph is below the line y equals 4. If I wanted to know, notice that corresponds exactly to this up here. If I want to know where the absolute value is greater than 4, then I want to know where's the V-shaped graph greater than, where is it higher? And you can see it's going to be greater than, it's going to be above right over here. And that corresponds to these values down here, right? And so again, you get the split interval where the absolute value is greater than 4.